Hey guys, today I'm going to be unboxing the SD Senshi Gundam Barbatos DX. So first off, thank you to MindFenix Hobby Store for sending me this kit to share with you guys. If you guys don't know, this is basically the SD Ex-Standard version of the Gundam Barbatos that now includes a lot more parts, basically so that you can make this into any one of the 1 through 6 forms of the Gundam Barbatos. And I think there's actually 7 forms, because the 5th form kind of has 2 different versions, sort of, right, as well. So if you're going to be using like that extra piece on the chest, you can see here. Just first thing too is just this box art. I actually kind of really like this box art. I think it's pretty cool. Just the animation style, or like the I guess the illustration style that they've gone with for this. I think it looks pretty cool. And like we have the images of the other forms of the Barbatos there in the background. So I'm pleased with that. The fact that it's the SD Ex-Standard kit, now just produced again in the BB Senshi line, I think is pretty low on Bandai's part, really. I think that was not really a good choice. But as I talked about in the SD Ex-Standard review, I can understand the reasons of how that kind of came to be, I think, just from what I can guess. But, you know, unfortunately, that's just the way it goes. I think the SD Ex-Standard kit is not actually that bad, so I personally really don't have too much of a problem with it. I know that a lot of people just really hate the SD Ex-Standard line. But as I said in that review, I think, you know, you should give it a chance, because it's really not that bad. You just have to do a lot of masking and painting. It's not really the worst thing in the world. Anyway, so the other thing about this is that number 400 was a really, really great kit. I thought the what was it, Superior Dragon Gundam? Anyway, that was a really nice kit. So kind of to go from that to this, which I think a lot of people will be disappointed with this, like right out of the gate, with it being the SD Ex-Standard kit now repackaged. It's kind of a little bit unfortunate for SD fans, I think. They might be a little bit disappointed with this release. But, you know, we'll check it out. We'll see how it goes. Interesting that I like how this box art is mimicking the HG Iron Blooded Orphans box art. The HG IBO box art always has like this kind of layout with like the title here on the side and like this white part, and then like the name is there in Japanese, and then the English is just kind of smaller below that. That's kind of not very usual for most Bandai kits. And then interestingly here, the DX is in English, and then the Japanese actually says Deluxe. So that's just kind of odd there. Anyway, here on the side, just same thing once again. You can see just again number 401 in the line. One thing that is going to be different about this kit is we are going to have some different eye options. With the SD Ex-Standard kit, we only had just the standard eyes, but this one we do have like the SD BB Senshi style eyes of having like cute eyes, and then it also has like these crazy eyes, which is pretty interesting. So here we got like Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4, Form 5. Here's, like I said, the 2 different Form 5s. Early Form 5, late Form 5, and then Form 6. And then you can use the Catan Type 3 booster. That's also included with this. It's not really going to be the most detailed thing. I think it's pretty much just going to be like a couple of parts maybe at most. So don't expect too much with that, but that's also included, so that's also kind of cool. Here we can see just the Form 4 and Form 6, which were the 2 that were released as HG kits. You could, of course, make different versions in those kits as well, but I can understand that's why they chose those two to display here on the side. The Form 4, that's basically the SD Ex-Standard kit, just straight, exactly, that's what it is. But here we have some more about Mikazuki and the Barbatos, and the list price of 1,200 yen. So 1,200 yen is definitely a nice thing. I mean, that's twice the price of the SD Ex-Standard kit, but it's obviously probably going to be at least twice the amount of parts in here. So a polycab runner there, some gray parts. That's exactly from the SD Ex-Standard kit. New parts there. There's the Catan booster. Some more new parts. Some not new parts. Some some foil stickers here, which I can see. Obviously, there's going to be some new ones, some old ones. These parts, which are not going to be new. These parts are new, but the V-fin and the chest part are not new. So let's get into the instructions here. just box art there on the top. On the bottom, again, just showing off the different forms here, 1 through 6 with the 2 different form 5s. On the back, just more promo images here, just showing off the different forms. The different weapons we have with this kit. We have the wrench mace, the sword, and the cannon all included with this kit, as well as the Katan booster. So I'm guessing maybe we're going to have 2 of the cannons there, so we can put that on the booster like that. And then painting, here's our painting guide here at the bottom. This is just looks like painting for just the standard Gundam. You can see there's no purple listed on here when there should be some purple for that part there, but it's not listed on the painting list, interestingly. Like with most SD Ex-Standard kits, or not, like with most SD BB Senshi kits, we have a little comic in here. This is number 401, Comic World. You can see it's a comic with the Gray's Ein, which is pretty interesting here. So I wonder if they'll make a BB Senshi Gray's Ein. I think a lot of people would be very happy with that. It would be definitely pretty interesting if they did. Alright, so here's our parts list. Everything going to be listed here. And then our construction. So this is going to be interesting how this is going to be laid out. Construction is going to be building what looks to be the head first, then the body. Looks like here, which form does it have you making just right out of the gate? Looks like you're building just the standard body and then putting the form 6 chest onto it there. And then the arms look like the form 6 arms as well. So it looks like maybe you're building the form 6 first, and then you can just like take off and swap parts as well. So there's putting the body together, mounting the weapons and the hands, building the wrench mace, and then here taking everything off to form the different forms. So there's that, and form 5 there it looks like, and then to form 4, and then form 3, and then form 2 and form 1. So you have to kind of work backwards there. And then the Katan booster here just mounts onto the backpack. 2 cannons there on the top. You can mount it onto an action base. And then here you can mount all the extra parts. This is what I think is what's nice about that, is that all the extra parts that you have, you can mount onto that Katan booster. So you have them all like contained, so you don't just have to keep like a bag with just loads of extra parts just kind of banging around in there. You can just mount them all into this, which is kind of cool. It's kind of like a converged kit, some like, or some figures and stuff kind of do stuff like that. So anyway, all right, let's get a look at the runners. Okay, so first, of course, our foil sticker sheet, very large, lots of stickers here. Obviously, a lot of these are recognizable from the SD Ex-Standard kit, but then, of course, we have the addition of a lot of new ones as well. The eyes there, we have different eyes, as I mentioned before, and then just a whole bunch of parts here. And again, nothing purple on this kit, as far as yeah. So even for that kind of claw, wire-guided claw part from the Schwalbe Grays, for this, that part is not purple, and you don't have a purple sticker for it either. So anyway, that's something interesting. PC303 here, molded in that same kind of dark brownish gray color, standard for the Barbatos frame, and just standard polycaps here for an SD kit. Runner A here, molded in white. This is exactly from the SD Ex-Standard kit, and so nothing going to be new here, except the marking for this is now just SD Gundam Barbatos. So I believe that's a different marking from the Ex-Standard kit, but the runner is exactly the same. Same thing here for runner B as well, nothing new with this except for the marking on it. Here we have the weapons and a few gray pieces that are going to be going in the head and torso, and the hands are here as well. Runner C is just our one single yellow piece here for the very large V-fin. And then runner D, our one last blue part from the SD Ex-Standard kit, which is just the part for the chest. Runner E is another white runner here. Now we're getting into all of the new parts. So here we have the Katan booster, new feet, new side skirts for the form 5 and 6, new chest part, and let's see, new shoulders, arms, and skirts. So a bunch of new stuff here. The Katan booster, you know, very nicely detailed here on the top. Of course, you're going to have to do a lot of painting because it's all molded in white here. On the bottom, that's very unattractive. I think people are really not going to be too into that. Of course, if you have it like filled up with all the extra parts, or you have the Gundam attached onto there, this is not going to be so noticeable. But basically, this is going to be looking pretty bad unless you just have this like sitting on the ground like that, and then like basically just using this as like a base to keep the mobile suit up on top of that. So yeah. Then we have runner F1. Here is once again back to that dark grayish brownish color. Here we have a second cannon, and then a whole bunch of new parts here. The new parts for the wrench mace, new chest part for the Form 5, and a few other different things on there. One thing I forgot to mention with the E-runner, and it's the same for this, is that instead of the marking just being SD Gundam Barbatos, this one is Gundam Barbatos DX. So the new runners are labeled with the DX. The old runners are just without that. So here we have F1, and then we also have runner F2, which was this section here, but these are blue parts here, and again, this is the part that should be purple, and no purple for that, unfortunately, but that's it for the runners. So that's it for unboxing the SD BB Senshi Gundam Barbatos DX. Yeah, anyway, it's the SD Ex-Standard kit. What are you gonna do? Again, I think that kit doesn't look bad. There's definitely some things to complain about with this kit. The lack of color separation, some very quite hideous, ugly, hollow parts here and there. The mobile suit itself really doesn't have too much in the way of hollow parts, except for like the backs of the hands and the backs of the legs. And as I mentioned in the SD Ex-Standard kit review, the back of the legs being hollow is not really all that bad, considering the back of the legs are pretty much just like mechanical detail anyway. Just paint that all in like a dark gray color, and you're really not going to notice too much of a difference, I think. And you can easily just go in and add some details just with some leftover parts or something. So that's not bad, but yeah, I don't know, we'll take a look at this in the review. Of course, I'll show you all 6 forms, and yeah, I'll see you guys then. So if you do have any other questions or comments, leave those down below. I'm sure you guys will have plenty of comments about this kit, a lot of ranting and raving, so leave those down below, and I'll see you guys in the review. Bye-bye.